What's up, podcast listeners and YouTube watchers, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, and the movie I'm going to be talking about right now is The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Now, this one comes from A24, and it is co-written and directed by Joe Talbot. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this one tells the story of Jimmy Fails, also played by Jimmy Fails. He plays himself. And this one kind of focuses on Jimmy's character searching for this house in San Francisco that his family owned, and he feels like it's his right to be there. His grandfather built that thing in the 30s or 40s from his story that he proclaimed. And this is a guy that really never had any parents growing up and any parental figures, and so he's always been by himself, and he always feels like he's been outcast and just left behind by this world, this cruel world. And this is the only thing that he can kind of hold on to because it's actually physically standing there. This isn't some hypothetical thing. It's like there's a house that's there. He wants this. He feels like this is the true connection between him and his past. While unfortunately we are in 2019, and the city is always moving forward. Going to the future. And this is a man that is trying to hold on to everything he can from his family and his family line. And so, going into this movie, I had no idea what it was about. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, this looks like a beautiful film. It looks not only just gorgeous cinematography-wise, but it looks like this is going to be something that really touch upon the soul and focus on story and characters and really just tackle this human story while also looking incredibly vibrant and just luscious with its cinematography. And so I was excited from the trailer, and of course A24, so I watched the movie, and first of all, I loved it, and it's currently in my top 10 of the year so far. But the best way I would describe it, and keep this in mind, I don't mean this as an insult, this is actually a pretty interesting analogy I came up with, but just hear me out. So this was like if you went to a coffee house, right, and they have an open mic, and typically people on open mic are terrible. They get up there and do some stupid stand-up, or they bring up their little ukulele and do some song that they've been writing for the past 25 years, and you're just like, please get off the stage. This film was like that one person in the back of the coffee house that went up to the front, and we're like, all right, we're just tired of people going up there and really kind of botching this. And then this person just starts talking and reads us a poem. And we're sitting there kind of mesmerized by what they're saying. It's powerful. It's deeply affecting. It's emotional. And so that's what this film was like. It was like watching poetry in motion. And I mean that in the best way possible, because I know a lot of people might kind of roll their eyes and be like, really? Poetry? Grow up. But it was like watching a poem in motion. So to kind of jump into Joe Talbot a little bit, this guy has never directed a full-length feature. This is his first full-length feature. He has directed, written, and produced a short film, and that was it. This guy has little to no resume, and he makes this movie, and he has lived in San Francisco, so he wanted to make his first feature on his hometown, the place he has lived, and really want to showcase the flaws of the city, the beauty of the city, and make it its own breathing character, while also having a compelling human story and creating this atmosphere of people we want to be around, people we want to hang out with, and just hear them talk, and just really get to see everyone's kind of scenarios, and Jimmy going to his dad and his aunt and his friend and his friend's grandfather. It's just it just has this like really kind of like breath of fresh air and this kind of lightness to it, and we really just want to be around these people and just kind of soak in the dialogue, soak in their actions, and really just hang out with them. And so Joe Talbot with this film created atmosphere, created a lovable environment, warts and all, and really kind of wrote these characters to where we would like them instantly. And from the people that, they casted for this film, they were so appropriate for the roles. Like, I didn't even feel like they were acting. I felt like these were real people and we were following these real life situations. So creating this atmosphere of San Francisco and making this story as deeply affecting as it was is a huge accomplishment for your first ever feature film. So Joe Talbot did a fantastic job in that regard, and then at the same time was able to kind of throw in some real problems that San Francisco faces, like the housing crisis, where there are probably more homeless people in San Francisco, California in general than most of the United States. It's not a message that hammers you over the head. It's just something that is brought up as a backdrop to this movie, but has the characters in the forefront and the story that Jimmy is trying to accomplish. So I thought that was also nice, just kind of bringing up some real issues with this city while also showcasing its beauty. It's just it's a love-hate thing, or the hate's a strong word, so like a love-frustrating type of relationship that Joe has with San Francisco, and that really kind of comes through on screen, and I really appreciated that. And the story itself of Jimmy and his goals is really, really affecting as well. I enjoyed it quite a bit, like, because when he sets up the premise, you're like, how are we going to stretch this out into a 2-hour long movie? And while granted, it is a slow burn, you're just interested in where he's going to go next. Who is he going to talk to? Is he going to talk to a family member? Is he going to talk to his friend? And just seeing this guy's passion and this guy's drive to get to this house and live there, because he is so convinced that it's a part of his family line. It's just, how do you not love that? I mean, this is a guy that's lost everything, and he is going after the one thing that he could possibly lose, but he wants this. And I found his character likable, and his friend, and his aunt, and like his dad, and just everyone did such a great job. I didn't feel like they were acting. I felt like these were characters that we would see down the street, and we just want to go hang out with because they seem like a lot of fun. But also, like I said, there's a lot of heartache in this movie. There's a lot of turmoil between Jimmy and his dad, or Jimmy and his friend. There's a lot of stuff going on, and so that's what makes it, a really kind of deeply human story. It's not just some fluff piece on San Francisco. It's like there's real stuff going on here, and I appreciated the grounded kind of sense of reality that Joe was able to create, while also making this film extremely beautiful. It's shot well. It's shot with this symmetrical flair to it. Kind of reminds me of like Wes Anderson. Nothing wrong with that. But made it his own. Did different camera movements for each shot, and just did a lot of reveals with pans or tilts, and really kind of amped up the color in post. And it's just a gorgeous film to look at. And so, it kind of borderlines almost looking like fantasy. Because I've been to San Francisco like a couple times, and it's not as vibrant as I remember, but that's the beauty of filmmaking, right? We can go in post and just amp up the saturation. But yeah, so it's a beautiful film to look at. And to jump into the acting real quick, it's phenomenal. I love Jimmy Fails, who plays Jimmy Fails in the movie. He is wonderful. His friend, played by, oh God, hold on. I got it right here. Jonathan Majors. He was the best part about the movie. He plays the friend to Jimmy, and oh God, there's one scene where he breaks down, kind of argues with Jimmy a little bit, and it's really kind of heartbreaking. He had the most kind of energy to his performance out of everyone else, but everyone else did a fantastic job. But if I had to pick one to stand out, it was him. Danny Glover's in this. He's great. Tichina Arnold plays the aunt. She is fantastic in this film. I feel like I haven't seen her in years. And then a lot of other people stand out, but this is also a collective movie. No one is outdoing each other. This is a collective piece and a wonderful ensemble. I mean, Mike Epps even shows up at one point, and he's fun. His character. Everyone's got their own distinct personalities and just the way their characters, flow and how they act. It's just everyone is different to a point where, like, if you showed me their face, I can tell you, I'll be like, oh yes, this person was like this in the movie, and this is their struggles and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's one of those films that's just acted superbly. So talk about the cinematography and the directing and the acting. A couple things. Quick one, and then I'll get into probably the best component about the movie. It is a 2-hour long movie. It can feel a tad slow. I'm just throwing that out there. So if you were curious about this movie, please do not be shut off by the 2-hour runtime slow burn effect to this movie. I think there is enough meat on the story and dealing with the characters and the characters themselves and the atmosphere of this movie to really kind of like push through and kind of garner your interest throughout the entire runtime. So I'm hoping it doesn't shut off people, but I will tell you that it's not a fast-paced movie. It's got, some breathing room, and it just kind of plays itself out, and you kind of just absorb everything, but it does move at just kind of this nice little steady pace. Nothing wrong with that, but I just want to give you a heads up. And the best component about this movie, this is the best score I've heard all year so far. Now, it's a tie between like this and like movies like Us or, How to Train Your Dragon 3, but this is by far the best thing I've heard so far. It has this like ethereal quality to it. It feels classical. Like it feels like a classic score that we're hearing in the making, and that was the first time I heard it. It just, every single scene, it kind of applies to the whole poetry thing, I guess, to kind of wrap it all around. It applies to the poetry analogy because the way the music moves throughout the scene and the way it kind of envelops the scene, it swells with music and kind of just rides this wave, kind of comes down, rides the wave, and it feels like an artist painting a brush. And it feels like someone standing up on stage reading this dialogue out, and we're just so moved by what we're hearing that you can't help but feel it deep within you. This music is phenomenal, and it reminds me a lot of the kind of beautiful orchestral sound of like If Beale Street Could Talk. It fits the movie. It doesn't feel out of place, and it just enhances it to the nth degree. I mean, this film is already fantastic, but the music just takes it to a whole nother level. And I gotta be honest with you, I've sat and thought about this for a few days now because it's been a while since I've seen the movie. There's nothing, I don't feel like there's a negative with this movie. The only negative I would say, I want to hang out with these people more. I want to hang out with Danny Glover's character, or Tichina Arnold, or Jimmy Fails, Jonathan Majors. Just every single person that I saw in this movie, I'm just like, I wish we had more time with them. So, not really a complaint on the movie, just more of a selfish thing, but I absolutely love this movie. I don't know how much more I can convince you guys. If you were into independent films, A24 films, or just movies that are different, and just you want to take a break from the big blockbusters, please go see this movie. I think it's worth it. It is phenomenal. I love it. So I'm going to give The Last Black Man in San Francisco a solid A. I typically don't go to the A+ unless I truly feel it, or I'm just like, that is going to be a classic in the making. I'm going to look down years from now and just be like, that still holds up. I'm going to see it a second watch, and if it does reach that point, I'll change my mind. But for right now, I'm going to just give it the highest thing I can give it, which is an A. Great stuff. Go check it out. So let me know your thoughts down below on The Last Black Man in San Francisco and what you thought about the movie, because maybe you hated it, and I would like to know. I'd like to know why. So, and I do read all the comments, by the way. So that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I'm slurring my words. I will see you guys later.